Hello, welcome back to another models recap video. My name is James McCool. You know me from Twitter and from my site paydirt.ghost.io. This is going to be yet another daily breakdown of the performance of all of the models that were active for the site last night. I've been doing these every day just for accountability reasons and for a little bit of kind of background on what the models are and what the models are saying and what I interpret from them. So hopefully you guys are watching these so that you can continue to stay on top of things. And if you're watching these just like thinking that it's cool that I have a site and you want to see how the models are doing, then that's cool too. Watch ahead. So usually I'm going to do NBA first and then move on to NHL or League of Legends. Yesterday there was a League of Legends slate overnight, but it was not a slate that I was doing projections for or that I was doing models for. I do models and projections for the LEC and LCS League of Legends slates, which are a bit more predictable. They're only best of one instead of best of three matches. So it was just NBA and NHL last night. We will go over NBA first and then move on to NHL. So let's jump right into it with the defensive efficiency matchups sheets. This is the first thing that I usually break down. So model last night, the top 5 plays were Kai Bowman at point guard, Buddy Hield at shooting guard, Andrew Wiggins at small forward, Jason Tatum at power forward, and Enes Kanter at center. So there are a couple asterisks here that are worth mentioning. So Kai Bowman as point guard up against Sacramento, third best matchup in the league right now for point guards. Sees an 11.55% boost in fantasy point per minute on average. He didn't do all that great. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 0 blocks. He was just around 5K and ended up only putting up like 20 fantasy points, I think, maybe 19 fantasy points. It really wasn't all that great. And I mentioned in the Discord, and also I think in the NBA slate notes that Jordan Poole was also in play, just because he was also the other point guard. Kai Bowman, initially, I had some people asking why Jordan Poole over Kai Bowman, and it's because Kai Bowman only had a minutes projection of around 17 to 18 minutes, and so you couldn't really count on him to be a really, really good play at his price. After Draymond Green got ruled out, it was a higher projection for Bowman, slightly higher, not significantly higher, and Jordan Poole was projecting for 30-plus minutes, period. Now, Kai Bowman is a better fantasy point per minute player for sure, but when you're going to get 30 minutes versus 20 minutes, then Jordan Poole is probably the guy that I am more inclined to want in that position. So between the two of them, Kai Bowman was pretty bad. Jordan Poole was okay. It wasn't great, so neither one of them was incredible. But I just wanted to break that down a little bit. Buddy Hield had the best matchup in the league for shooting guards at the moment, up against Golden State with a average boost of 19% fantasy points per minute. Hield had a terrible first half. I think he only scored like 5 real-life points, maybe 4 real-life points in the first half. Ended the game with 19 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. Pretty much put up value. He was 6,600 on DraftKings last night and ended up with 34 fantasy points. It's not great, but it's not bad. Just about 5x. So not terrible. I mean, he didn't get the boost that I wanted him to, but he is a 3-point specialist, and at a negative 6% boost, like a 6% decrease to 3-point percentage for this matchup, kind of makes sense that he would have a little bit harder of a shooting night, and I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to that. But he rated really well regardless, and his projection was good, so I didn't mind using him. He turned out okay, not great. Moving on to Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins sucks, dude. I just think that Andrew Wiggins is not very good at professional basketball. Like, he has a lot of raw talent, but he has 0 court IQ. He is not a smart person on the basketball court. So he's bad. Scored 16 real-life points and 1 assist. He was super expensive, and I hate everything. Moving on to Jason Tatum, 36 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks. Crushed it. In the Discord and in the notes, I said that he was one of the players that I would have in every lineup. He had the best possible matchup for power forwards in the league right now, 22% boost to fantasy point per minute on average. He is still underpriced for the production that he is putting up right now with no Kemba Walker. So happy to have had him in every lineup that I built. He was basically where I started, him and Harry Giles. So Jason Tatum, definitely fantastic. Enes Kanter for center. I put up 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal with an asterisk next to his name because Daniel Tice actually is the one that started and ended up with 10 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. So the combined effort of the centers was 14 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal, which isn't bad. I talked a little bit about Daniel Tice in the Discord yesterday and said that I didn't love him, but then this morning I went over a recap that showed why I should have played him instead of a build that I ended up going with. I should have just eaten the chalk on him. So the center definitely got the boost there between 2 centers getting 5 assists. This is a matchup that allows a lot of assists to centers as they pass back out. So Enes Kanter, I think, was an okay play. I think that Daniel Tice was the one that you probably should have had. But regardless, breaking this down, we had Kai Bowman, who was bad. Buddy Hield was okay. He was good. Andrew Wiggins sucks, and I hate him. Jason Tatum ended up doing really, really well. Happy about that. And then Enes Kanter, not great, but Daniel Tice ended up good. So not too bad performance, just about par. We didn't birdie it. We didn't hit an eagle on this today, but definitely on par. Didn't really kill you to have Hield and Jason Tatum, but having Wiggins pretty much sank you. So we'll move on to the range of outcomes. As usual, I'm going to go down the top 20 in the range of outcomes according to the T-Val percentage rating. Talk about the good, the bad, the meh, and the terrible, because we did have one terrible performance last night. Let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 great performances, which is anything that is better than 5x return on value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good performances. So 12 out of 20 good or great. A lot of the great, though, came kind of like towards the bottom of my range of outcomes in the T-Val percentage. The great performances were Jason Tatum, Harry Giles, Anthony Davis, Miles Turner, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, and Mason Plumlee. We did have some pretty bad performances as well. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 bad performances and 1 LOL bad performance, which was Serge Ibaka. So we'll go down the list really quick. We'll talk through each one. Jason Tatum put up 50.75. I had him projected for 56.26. A little bit underwhelming. Wish he would have gotten a couple more rebounds, but still a great performance for his price. 8,800. Ended up putting up almost 6x. So he was pretty damn good. He was somebody who I wanted in every lineup. Malik Monk projected at 56% ownership. Just a huge dud. Had him projected for 33. He put up 15.75. That is a bad performance, ladies and gentlemen. Harry Giles had him projected for 30. Ended up putting up 32.25. That is great. Super happy about that at 4,400. And he wasn't nearly highly enough owned, especially on a slate like last night where I figured that he would be really highly owned with people needing value. People ended up going with Daniel Tice instead, and I like Harry Giles more, so happy about that for sure. Nikola Jokic had him projected for 59. He ended up putting up 34. That is really, really bad. He wasn't aggressive last night. He didn't take enough shots, and he wasn't active enough as the offensive, as kind of like the offensive centerpiece. It ended up being, I think it was, can't remember off the top of my head, Jeremy Grant ended up putting up 29 real-life points, took the most shots on the team. So Jokic just kind of took a back seat in this one. It didn't necessarily need him. He was mostly worried about defense, I think, but definitely a disappointing spot. Daniel Tice, talked about him a couple times on this recap pod, had him projected for 31. He put up 25. Not a bad performance. He was still a better play than the ownership. According to LevX, he had a 12% boost or 12% advantage over the projected ownership. So Could have still used him. TJ McConnell had him projected for 22. He only put up 14.5. It's a meh performance. It's not bad. He was really cheap, so 14 is not going to kill you, especially on a night where there wasn't a lot of really cheap value that crushed. So he wasn't terrible. But he didn't take enough shots. I think he only took like 3 shots, maybe 4 shots on the night. He had assists, he had some rebounds, he did not have enough points. So, like if he shoots 100% from the field, then he crushes that. He puts up like 23, 24 fantasy points, but he needed to take more shots. And I expected with the blowout that he would see more minutes, and he ended up getting 20 minutes, and he just didn't take advantage of it. So that's a bit of a bummer. Andrew Wiggins, 16.25 points. I hate him. He sucks. I don't like using him. Buddy Hield, 34 fantasy points. Already talked through him quite a bit. Top matchup for shooting guards on the slate. Just had a bad first half. If he has a decent first half and a good second half, puts up 40 fantasy points, we're all happy. Everything's gravy. But I was really happy with him at that ownership. I had him projected for 39. He ended up putting up 34. Totally fine, whatever. That's cool. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say, I had Andrew Wiggins projected for 45, and I hate him. Danilo Gallinari had him projected for 35.87. He put it up 33. He had 30 fantasy points in the first half and didn't do anything in the second half. And it was a roller coaster ride for those who had him. Anthony Davis had him projected for 57. He put up 57.5. Cool. Great performance. Happy about that. Serge Ibaka is the worst performance on the night by far. I had him projected for 36. He only put up 11.75. That is an LOL bad performance. He just did not do well in that matchup against Giannis and against Brook Lopez and those guys. It does not fit his style, I think. So that's pretty bad. I didn't end up using him, but I know that he was relatively popular. So my condolences to those that used him. Fred VanVleet, also another bad performance here. Again, Toronto and the Bucks are both two good defensive teams, and it does not surprise me at all that there was a lack of offensive explosion in that matchup. So both these guys, Serge Ibaka and Fred VanVleet, not great performances. I had Fred VanVleet projected for 37. He only put up 20. Miles Turner ended up with almost 10 steals and blocks. I think he had 9. Which is just an egregious performance. Put up 42 fantasy points. I had him projected for 28. He ended up way higher owned than 6% owned, and that caused problems because he was 35% owned. I did not expect him to be 35% owned, and he just absolutely dominated. Jaylen Brown, I had him projected for 36. He put up 39. It's a great performance. Really happy about it. Again, the Celtics in a nice matchup against Portland. LeBron James had him projected for 55. He put up 60. Again, another really, really nice performance from a high-owned player or a highly projected-owned player. I should have had him. In my breakdown that I had in the Discord for subscribers, I mentioned that I should have had him and walked through the steps of why I should have had him. A little bit disappointed that I didn't have him and I went with Nikola Jokic instead. But I digress. Lessons are learned. De'Aaron Fox had him projected for 40. He ended up putting up 35. It was not terrible, but it wasn't necessarily great. I would label that as a good performance. Mason Plumlee put up 21 fantasy points. I had him projected for 20, so really happy about that performance, especially at 2% owned. He was a ringer. He was one of the values that you could have had on top of TJ McConnell if you were looking at the range of outcomes last night. Both of those guys would have been great fits for your lineups. Probably would have brought you to the cash line so long as you were on the right pieces of chalk. Malcolm Brogdon had him projected for 37. He ended up only putting up 32. He was 7,100. I mentioned in the Discord last night that I didn't think that Malcolm Brogdon was really that great of a play, even without Oladipo and Jeremy Lamb, because he was priced appropriately. I mean, he's probably going to score somewhere between 30 and 40 fantasy points without those guys there. He started out the season super hot, but he has settled back into kind of this role where he's not getting all of the assists and where he's not being the main distributor, and so his ceiling is not as high as people think right now. So had him projected at 37, he put up 32. Pretty close. Meh performance for me. And Chris Middleton put up 36.5. I had him projected for 40. cool, fine, that's good. It was not an incredible spot. It was a good spot, but again, that game between two very good defensive teams, didn't expect a whole offensive explosion. Finally, Aaron Holiday, I had him projected for 26. He ended up putting up 19.25. Blowout definitely affected Aaron Holiday here. He didn't need to play any of the fourth, so that's pretty much what we would expect. He probably would have put up another 4 or 5 fantasy points in the fourth, and that would have been right around projection. So definitely happy with the way that the range of outcomes turned out. Moving on to the NHL really quick. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to recap NHL. I put together all the goals for every team from the night before here. We were on Edmonton and Montreal. Edmonton did very well. We were on their front line, or their front line won. They ended up crushing. I think that it was, who was it? Somebody put up 6. Yeah, St. Louis put up 6 goals last night. I was not on them, not in the cash or the GPP ranks. So definitely a little bit disappointed in that. Tampa Bay had rated well. They put up 3 goals. Islanders put up 3 goals. Edmonton, again, 3 goals. 4 goals for Washington. So the guys that we were on ended up doing well, but there were some guys that we missed. I missed Minnesota, who ended up putting up 5 goals. I missed out on St. Louis, who ended up putting up 6. From what I asked in the Discord, it seems like people had a successful night. I was not able to play last night. I was too focused on NBA and trying to get that up. So glad that subscribers ended up having a good night regardless. I know that in the player ranks, we had Edmonton rated well. Tampa Bay put up 4 runs. Islanders put up 4 runs as well, I think. So ended up doing well enough in the projections and in the cash line ranks, but still looking for the best way to break that down. The best way to break something down is to play it, and I didn't get to play last night, so I don't have a whole bunch of insight here. But from what I hear from subscribers and from what I see from the goals scored and the lines that we were on, things looked like they went pretty well. So this is going to do it for this recap video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching and paying attention and having interest in all of the models and everything like that here on this site. Hopefully y'all are subscribing, getting ready for baseball season. Going to have a lot of fun this baseball season. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.